Let's talk about the decorum of winning. Australia were followed for a documentary during the Ashes series this year. And you remember that big incident that happened in the long room, and there was a bit of argy-bargy that went on.
The members of the MCC,
Yes, and it was all a little bit unseemly. Jonny Bairstow.
It was awful.
All that kind of stuff.
It was terrible. A few of them said unkind words to a couple of players apparently have no fortitude.
Did they use
their finger? Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's hear how the Aussies actually reacted to that, because in the recent video of that Jonny Bairstow run out shown, did it show a lack of class when they reacted to it? This is them in the dressing room afterwards. This is what it sounds like.
Jonny was steaming, absolutely steaming. Like, he walked in the lunchroom, didn't have lunch.
All of them had food in front of them, except Jonny Bairstow. I was thinking, that's a little bit odd.
Like, the Sky crew knew that Jonny was in there, and they just replayed it on the screen. And, like, as you do, everyone's, like, watching, obviously seeing us all watch. He's like, are you guys happy with that? Dave Warner's, like, spitting out his chicken. And goes, yeah, very. Like, the only word said, oh...
Was that well received by most people?
That's funny.
Remember at school when the teacher tells you off and you shouldn't be laughing?
Yeah, the best laughs.
Well, I was trying to eat my soup. So if you can imagine, I'm eating my soup and I'm shaking like this. And I'm like... just try and look down, and then I look up at Jonny and be... I had pumpkin soup coming down my rides.
Labuschagne, Khawaja and Smith, you heard from there.
You gotta laugh, ain't you?
Is it funny? Is it good old-fashioned England-Australia tribalistic banter, or is it a lack of class?
No, it's absolutely what it is. It's absolutely what you'd priced into your thinking.
We were all cracking up in here when we were listening to it.
Well, you've got to reverse the roles. You know, you imagine England players would be doing exactly the same. England players would be doing exactly the same. And if they tell you different, they're lying.
Piers Morgan was very unhappy about it.
But they wouldn't. I do genuinely believe, maybe I'm naive, but I genuinely believe, and I had this conversation with Ian Botham, that an England captain would have taken that appeal back. And this conversation might be moot. And then whether that's right or wrong is a different discussion. But there is a way to win. And there's nothing noble about the way they won. Yeah, winning is everything. And if that's the mantra, and I agree with that to some extent, but not at the expense of every aspect of the soul and character of what you're playing in.
Whatever happened to the spirit of cricket, eh?
Well,
I think 99% of the time it's played in the right way.
Maybe that died with Don Bradman. But the point is that we're talking about the reality of what it takes to win a game, how offended the Australians were, how we started to turn on ourselves about the awful behaviour of a couple of members in the MCC because the protocol. I mean, go to SCG and places like that and listen to the way that their fans behave.
So what are you saying here? Because I can't work out whether or not you're saying that it's okay. There is a way to win, but when do you take it too far? What's the line?
This is what he does, Sam. He goes both ways, so he can't be accused.
No, I do not. I don't like it. I can understand the argument for those in the camp, right? Because we've had this debate before that the only thing that defines a winner is winning, according to Rio Ferdinand, right? And ultimately, in this instance, that means Australia are ultimately winners. But there's something ugly, and it's not because I'm English and acclimatised to losing, because I hate losing like the next person does. But there is a certain style of winning in a certain way that I would expect better of the elite players to have to be able to achieve.
So if you're in charge of Crystal Palace, you're the owner of Crystal Palace, and you take a team to the FA Cup final, they win the FA Cup final, but they get that over the line because they get a penalty from a dive. Is that okay?
Look what Leeds did.
Would you celebrate that?
That's the nature of the referees, to be able to intervene. And ultimately, it's not necessarily a captain's gift to turn around to a referee and say, no, he died.
It was the nature of the umpire to intervene.
Only in the instance of because he was out. There's no doubt he was out. It was a cricketing decision.
Yeah, but the umpire could have overruled the captain.
No, he couldn't. The captain had to withdraw the appeal.
Yeah, he couldn't overrule.
He
was technically out.
He was out.
Right.
So he had to have a withdrawal from the captain. Now, you look at the game, I think it was a few years ago, where in the Championship, where Leeds United scored a goal in a game and Bielsa let the opposition go up the field and score against
but that was correct.
The Villa.
Well, that's the way you behave, because you win.
Yeah, but
because you win.
Would you have done that in the FA Cup final? Would you have done that in the FA Cup final?
So hold on. No, but doesn't it depend on the actual act, individual act? So when Mayweather got, the fellow who caught him and then he tried to apologise and he whacked him, when I can't think who it was who he had the fight with years ago, and he let his guard down to try and apologise when he gave him. I think he tried to headbutt or gave Mayweather a low blow.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Well, yes, don't be
Do you know what he's talking about?
I have time.
Idiot.
Well, help us then.
Well, if you knew boxing as much as you profess to, you'd know this
But I
fight
think
was
you-
quite famous.
Well,
Mayweather
it
knocked
can't be
him
that famous, you can't remember who was in it.
You obviously don't know your boxing as well as you say you do. Mayweather knocked him
I have
out
to
when
say,
his
I didn't watch many of Mayweather's fights.
Mayweather knocked him out when his hands were down. And the rule in boxing is you've got to defend yourself at all times. But to everybody, a lot of people thought it was a disgrace. But I think if it's in the rules, it's in the rules. If you do what Maradona did against England and he jumps and handballs it, that's cheating. Henry in the Ireland game. That's what I disagree with. But it's the rules of cricket. They've not done anything wrong.
No, that's right. And
Where's the line?
Where is the line? Where's your line?
And there becomes the lightweight argument that can easily be amplified.
So the truth is,
by
neither
the-
of you've
by the
got a line,
Australians.
really, unless it sort of works in your favour.
No,
Or works against you.
No, I would prefer my players to win on merit. I think there is a way. That's like standing on the shoulder of giants. I prefer people to get there because of merit and not because of a situation that's been
I'd
orchestrated.
rather be a lucky winner than an unlucky loser.
Mayweather-Ortiz was the fight that you're referring to.
Who told you that, Luke?
Luke told me, yeah. I think
Okay.
he's got access to a
Well,
Google
it's very
machine.
famous, and
there's
if Simon doesn't know, it says a lot.
There's a few text messages coming in as well. September 2011, Barry, the Aston Villa fan, has texted in about that as well. So, yeah, he knows it.
Well done. It was a great example.
It was, wasn't it? It was a good example.
It was a good example.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.